Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Are you getting the most you can out of Toastmasters? Very shy, crying, and stumbling through her icebreaker speech in 1987, our keynote speaker has been finding the hidden treasure in Toastmasters ever since. Today, she is an internationally top-rated speaker and is presented on conference programs alongside Olivia Newton-John, opened for Marie Osmond, and closed for Geena Davis. CEO of Sparkle Presentations, Sheryl Roush, is from the Gold Rush state of California and now based in the Empire State of New York. Her coaching, consulting, and speaking programs are committed to bringing out your brilliance. In 1993, she was the youngest woman and 28th overall to earn Toastmasters' treasured designation of accredited speaker. And since 1981, only 89 have earned the professional credential in 146 countries. In 2009, she received the Sparkling Presidential Citation selected specifically for her global contributions to enhancing global communication and leadership. Sheryl is the proud author of the Toastmasters International Sanctioned Heart of a Toastmaster book, which received the Best Anthology from the International Book Awards, publishing true stories by 135 fellow members, including our international president, Margaret Page. With our keynote message, The Heart of a Toastmaster, please give a very warm District 78 welcome to Distinguished Toastmaster, Sheryl Roush.
Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to this virtual annual conference. What a great way to just be everywhere all at the same time. I love it. Thank you. So Billy has been downloading into the chat box the handout, the resources that you are going to want. So please take a look at that, and you might even want to print it out. So thank you for that. Oh gosh, when you think about the heart of a Toastmaster and you think about the mystery of the hidden treasure, I'd like you to think what that really means to you. Because my main question, as Wes had introduced it in the introduction, is are you getting the most you can out of Toastmasters? So in the chat box, if you would, put how many years that you have been a member. How many years have you been a member of Toastmasters? Yeah, just put it into the chat box there. Let's see, we have, okay, thank you. 8, 25, 22. That sounds like football scores. 12, 3, let's see. 2 plus 6. Okay, Kathleen, that would be collective 8. Okay, 45, Bob. Wow. All right, Greg, thank you. 8, Megan, 3.5. Okay, Nancy, 0.5. Okay, welcome. 4, 20, Keith Jones, welcome to have you here from Nebraska. And all right, 34, 12. Wow, wow, wow. So all of that, thank you, thank you. So this is perfect timing then. Wes, thank you for inviting me, and to our district director, thank you very much for inviting me to be here to serve you with this message tonight as you are getting things kicked off, and you've already had a lot of events that are going on with this conference. With the heart of a Toastmaster and our theme of the mystery of the hidden treasure, I'm hoping that you get to decide in these 30 minutes or less what's going to be going into your treasure chest as you are chipping away at the gold mine of all the ideas that you can do. The handout is in the chat box. If you are able to print it out, I support you in doing that. If not, then follow along with the conversation and with the texting into the chat box. And then I think you're going to want to actually write a few things onto this worksheet as you can, maybe even tomorrow morning over coffee, or, you know, in the late night owl events. Thank you very much, Laura, for hosting those. So here's my first question for the chat. Why, actually the second question, why did you join Toastmasters? So whether it be from 0.5 to 35 to 45 years, why did you join Toastmasters? What originally brought you? So why did you join Toastmasters? Let's light up the chat box here. Why did you join? To gain confidence? To improve your communication? Your wife told you to join. Keith, I know your wife. I believe she did. To improve your teaching, wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen. To be around high achievers, yes. To become a public speaker, a better public speaker, yes. Parliamentary procedure, yes. Robert's rules. Test out topics, great. Well, Billy, you're certainly doing that too in Toastmaster magazine. So thank you. Diana, humiliation. Thank you. And thank you for your leadership too. Oh, wow. So these are all right. Not to miss out on career opportunities. Yes. To increase self-awareness, leadership skills, to lose the nervousness. Thank you, Mr. District Director. Wow. All right. Did I miss anybody? Let's see. Hi, Chief. I wanted to learn something new. This is great. This is great. Did anyone join to be a leader? I didn't. I didn't. So, right. Thank you, Kay. So, no. Matter of fact, I'll tell you some of my story. This is me. Aw, I was 3. Very, very shy. My mother would drag me on her Avon routes, by the way. Ding dong, Avon lady, that was my mom. And I was probably hiding behind her dress and everything else, but painfully shy. So when Wes said that in my introduction, it is absolutely true. Then in high school, now, this might be more believable that I was the one leading the pep rallies. Yep, cheerleader, well, actually the commissioner of pep in charge of the cheerleaders leading the pep rallies. And there were 2,000 students and faculty in the big gymnasium when we had those pep rallies. That was me. Do you remember your icebreaker and how you didn't eat or sleep for like couple days ahead of time? It was the same thing before a pep rally. And I was still so nervous. Now, I did get most school spirit, but boy, was I wish I knew about Toastmasters youth leadership programs back then, because I would have taken one, and I was involved in the associated student body, but I didn't know anything about it. It wasn't until I met somebody at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and she asked me what it was that I did. Well, I own my own graphic design studios. And she said, well, what's your greatest challenge with that? And I said, well, each of my employees is older than myself, and I was taught to respect my elders. And really, so what's the toughest part about that? Giving feedback. How do I provide them feedback and still show respect? She said, you might be interested in this communication skills series that's coming up. Tell you what, I'll buy you breakfast. And this is in Old Town San Diego and at one of our original Mexican restaurants. And Pat Johnson, by the way, took this particular photo. And she said, well, just come on and I'll buy you breakfast. No obligation at all. It was 7 o'clock in the morning, Wes. Oh my gosh, which meant getting up at 5 in order to beat San Diego traffic going into the downtown area. But I did. And I knew that when I walked in the door, I'd found my place. I found my people. I found where I was supposed to be. No one knew, by the way, that I just filed for divorce from an alcoholic, abusive man who had threatened to take my life 3 times with a gun. My self-esteem had been beaten out of me. I had no self-worth, no voice. It was pretty bad. So thanks to this organization, it helped me to find my voice, find my purpose, and there was probably my biggest treasure in the treasure chest. I had no idea about the friendships, lifelong friendships that I would make coming through those doors. And by the way, that program, Speechcraft, it was March 15th, 1987, when I walked through those doors, greeted by Sergeant at Arms. The fire was crackling in the background, and I filled out a membership application before the meeting even ended. And they clapped for everything, and I guess I just really needed that. So why I joined was to become a better business owner, to be able to give my coworkers, my team, better feedback. So I'll share with you some of my stories and those hidden treasures, and I sure hope that you are capturing hidden treasures to go into your treasure chest as well. So here's my next question for you. If you would please light up the chat box. What goals did you set for yourself? So I shared with you mine about being able to give effective feedback. I will tell you too that I couldn't even introduce myself at the Chamber of Commerce meetings. Those 15 seconds, oh my gosh, it was awful. All right, so let's see these, put them into the chat box. What goals did you set for yourself when you first joined? So Wes, as we're waiting for that, I'm going to ask you to unmute and share why did you join? Thanks, Laura, for your CC. Thank you. Wes, why did you first join? What goals did you set?
That's a great question, Sheryl. I joined for two reasons. One, I needed confidence. I needed to build confidence. I was deathly afraid of talking in front of people, and that included meetings with my peers, which, if you want to get somewhere in your career, you need to be able to talk in front of people, at least in the kind of career that I had in an office setting, right? And in the back of my mind, I wanted to be a professional speaker too. I want to do what you're doing right now. And that's one of the reasons why I joined Toastmasters.
Wow, thank you. And I love all of these goals that we've been setting here too. Thank you. Absolutely. Build confidence. And Keith, thank you. That is the number one reason why people join our organization. It may be my wife sent me, it may be, whatever that it is. It all starts with confidence. So Greg, thank you to speak and lead with greater confidence. Thank you for that. Rhonda, to be able to share an emotional story without becoming emotional. Rhonda, I'll share with you that there are times still today in a few of my presentations where, yes, I have tears in my eyes, and it keeps it real. We don't want to be a hot mess on stage, but I could tell you about my icebreaker. Oh my gosh. People in my club will still tell you that too. I cried Oprah's ugly cry. Tears were flooding in my face. Icebreaker. Oh my gosh. And 19 ahs and ums. So Wes, it cost me $1.90 to give that speech. And I thought, wait a second, if I want to ever get paid for speaking, there's something wrong with this picture. Yep. Oh, Megan, I relate to that. Not to talk too fast. How am I doing? I typically hit warp 9. Yep. Live long and prosper. I do. By the way, I've worked with Leonard Nimoy, and he told me himself he was a Toastmaster in 1954. So how to be comfortable with on-the-spot conversations. Diana, Wes can tell you that I had the privilege of meeting our majority leader, Chuck Schumer, this morning. And I tell you, Toastmasters really came in handy several times while I was in the room. The classroom, to work on your first book, self-confidence and leadership, right? And Carl, thank you, that we didn't know there was anything outside of the club. Amazing. Oh, this is great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. To improve speaker presence. Thank you. Boy, all of these are fantastic answers. Thank you for that. So then my quick question to you on that is, how are you doing on setting those goals, and how are you reaching them? Are you reaching them? So for instance, Wes, like you, my goal then, after I found out that I could get the butterflies to fly in formation and maybe not be so nervous, and setting the goal to become a paid speaker where I got paid, not paying for my eyes. I started speaking outside of the club. It took an advanced Toastmaster with me, got project manual credits, got credit for speaking outside of the club. Often they were paid engagements, and then the speaking engagements went toward earning the accredited speaker designation. So you can double and triple dip on this. SCORE, Small Business Administration, the Chambers of Commerce, Lions Clubs, they all need speakers. And then one of the goals that I set was to speak at an international convention. And I believe I've spoken at 6 or 7 of the international conventions to date. Here's one of the fun ones with 2 weeks notice. In Calgary, Alberta, Canada, 2 weeks notice, world headquarters called and said, Sheryl, we need a replacement speaker. The speaker who was scheduled for the pre-conference presentation workshop just needed to step off the calendar. Can you step in? I said, well, okay, passport. Yes, I'm good. Check. What topic? Because don't speak about just anything. I also learned that in Toastmasters, there are topics that, yes, we live, like time management, goal setting, but maybe we're not supposed to be the speaker on that. I learned that, what not to speak on. And it was on speaking skills. This particular presentation I'll be giving tomorrow for District 21 in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, for our district there. So 2 weeks notice, 850 people in the audience. Could not have done it had it not been for Toastmasters and our safe environment. This is at the International Convention just a few years ago in Washington, D.C. So how are you doing on doing those goals? And what have you accomplished? What have you accomplished? And so let's take a look at that. So, for instance, in the introduction, Wes had mentioned that I've opened for Marie Osmond. Yes, and she's an absolute delight. And I sang that day, by the way, she didn't. That was a hoot. And she also said, because I said, Marie, it was my honor to be your opener today. And she said, oh, no, Sheryl, I'm your closing act. It was just so delightful. Geena Davis, and my mother was there in the audience that day. Olivia Newton-John, an absolute delight. Oh, Suze Orman. Oh, Jane Seymour, who is Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, Marcus Buckingham, Marvin Hamlish, Art Linkletter. Just a blast. So then the hidden treasures and something that I've been able to accomplish is even to be speaking on stages in sports arenas, 5,000 people in an audience, no teleprompter, and a different 5,000 people 4 days later at the next convention. Again, hidden treasures. Had no idea when I stumbled into that Toastmaster Mexican restaurant that morning what I would be able to do. There you go. So, all right. So very emotional. Yep. Very emotional. So make sure that how are you doing on those goals and what have you accomplished by your first competent communicator, by maybe your distinguished Toastmaster, by your first level, by, your icebreaker. So all of those are, it's important that we set the goals and that we accomplish them, because anything that you want to do inside this organization, you can. Communication, leadership, contests, professional credentials, it's here. So here's my next question for you. What hidden treasures did you find? Something that you weren't expecting. Let's light up the chat box. What are the hidden treasures that you had no idea? Benefits that you've had, good friends, relationships, opportunities to serve. Bill Brown found out that you can write. Well published at that. Yes. What other hidden treasures? The cause for deeper self-evaluation. Yes. Awesome new friends. Ones to enjoy a glass of wine with afterwards. I would say, gosh, friends for life. A look at the world through others' eyes. If you have not been attending club meetings, which are hosted through other clubs, even around the globe right now, just amazing. Courage, transformational healing. Yes, speaking your truth. Hidden treasures, things that you had no idea that you would benefit, how you could gain. Yeah, that you could step up and lead other volunteers in Toastmasters and outside in the community. Those are the hidden treasures. What are you putting into your treasure chest? Yeah, Megan, thanks. Your potential for leadership. Absolutely. If you think about it, maybe over a cup of coffee tomorrow morning and you have your worksheet, just kind of start writing some things down and look at all the blessings that you've had. Look at the chunks, the nuggets of gold that maybe you hadn't even thought about for your particular treasure chest, and all the gratitude that you can give. Around the world, we have 300,000 members right now, over 15,800 clubs in 149 countries. Imagine Dr. Ralph C. Smedley sitting in his office back in 1920s and just having a vision as he was working at the YMCA there in Santa Ana, California. If he ever thought that we would have such an international family around the globe. Amazing things that have been accomplished as a result. So here's the next question is, what's next for you in Toastmasters? So Wes, thank you for sharing that you want to become a paid speaker. What more is it that you want to do? And then set those goals. Set those goals and go ahead and put them into the chat box, and I'll introduce you to the Toastmasters Accredited Speaker Program, because if you do want to become a professional paid presenter, Toastmasters acknowledges those who are. It's designed for professional presenters who combine their expert knowledge with the mastery of the spoken word. And at the time that I earned it, it was primarily for keynote presenters for outstanding platform professionalism, is actually what the engraved plaque says. And I was only number 28 in the entire world. There's 89 currently since 1981. So you can download all of the documentation there. And here's Connor Cuneen, who is a two-time survivor thriver of cancer, originally from Ireland. So he is the Irishman speaks, and he is a humorist. So if you can go through cancer not once but twice and find the funny, then wow, and get paid to deliver that particular message. He's also a past president of the Chicago chapter of the National Speakers Association. We also have Yelena Balabanova in Seattle, Washington, who combines her musical talents. She is a pianist, a top 10 Steinway in the entire world. She brought an electronic keyboard piano and earned her accredited speaker by combining her speaking with her music. So again, it's whatever that you do and how are you a subject matter expert in pulling that together with your message. Maybe what's next for you is to visit world headquarters in Denver, Colorado. Maybe it's going to the convention in Nashville. So whether it's going in person, by the way, I have spoken at this resort. It is fantastic. It is, and it's been renovated recently too. If you're unable to go on site, then definitely consider hybrid and go online. So again, as you take a look at these questions, and let me see what's next for you. So if you've put it in there, thank you. So you want to mentor, thank you. Transferable skills, thank you. Meeting people from other different walks of life. Yes, matter of fact, you can be attending the meetings that Ukraine clubs are hosting right now, by the way, and really, gosh, listen to their stories and their hope and their encouragement. And let's see, learn perspectives, meeting new people. Absolutely. So again, have this worksheet. So let me tell you, and let me close out with another story, that there is a member that I know and originally hired to work for the US Navy Research and Development Center in San Diego, a federal employee required to review and critique engineers' reports at the test sites that were around the globe. So they needed to travel. This individual needed better speaking and evaluation skills for a higher level job. This person asked to join the club on base. Well, the club was limited to men on the move. This person joined under the fictitious name of, which was determined during a table topics contest, the name of Homer. You might recognize this person, the only person in a dress in this particular photo. It is Helen Blanchard. She received her membership pin in her club, Naval R&D is what we called it, June 2nd, check out the year, 1970. Women were not officially allowed into the organization, and I say allowed because they were not until 1973. One of the greatest gifts in my treasure chest is to be able to not only get to know this woman, but to help her publish her story called Breaking the Ice. And it is absolutely amazing of what she went through. And her comment was that it wasn't about so much breaking the ice, it was that helping open the doors, and that the men helped to open the doors for women coming into this organization. So when you think about the hidden treasures and the beautiful people that we have in our lives, and I'll leave you with this quote, because Helen, and I actually was in the room, shot this photo when she said this exact quote. If you get everything out of Toastmasters, you can get out of Toastmasters. You'll never get out of Toastmasters. Isn't that great? So when we think about the heart of a Toastmaster, remember that it is you. You are the heart of Toastmasters. Back to you, Mr. Director.
Great job, Sheryl. What a fantastic message to share with our district this evening. At this time, everyone, we are going to open up for a few questions. If you want to go ahead and post some of those to the chat, we'll go ahead and read those off to Sheryl and get selecting a few of them. While you're putting that in there, though, Sheryl, I did have a question for you to kind of kick things off. You had mentioned in your introduction about your icebreaker and how you cried through it. Did you really actually cry through your icebreaker?
I did. Makeup was all over my face. It was running down my cheeks. I didn't have tissue. I was hanging onto the lectern for dear life. It was a white knuckle speech. It was ugly. It was absolutely ugly. Yes. And I can name names of people who are still in my club who were there. And they go, oh yeah, it was ugly. Serious. And I thought, oh my gosh. Talking about yourself for the first, and I was talking about being an artist, being a graphic designer. Oh my gosh. I needed confidence. I definitely did. And that was during the Speechcraft program. It was 2 weeks after I had joined during the Speechcraft program that I needed to give that icebreaker.
Well, I can relate. I felt the same way for my first icebreaker. It was extremely nerve-wracking. And, that's one of those things that for me, it still has not completely gone away. I think I've learned to manage some of that in some ways. I don't know, for you, is that the same? Do you find that the nerves don't really go away? You just kind of learn how to deal with them, or what? Can you share something about that?
Thank you. People do ask me that, and they say, oh, because I've given over 3,500 presentations, blah, blah, blah. I believe that if you don't get nervous, if you don't have the adrenaline, now the adrenaline is the physical, it's inside of us, but we get to determine whether it's going to be nervous or excitement. If we don't have that adrenaline, I don't think we're growing. I think we have found a comfort zone, or we've become arrogant regarding it. I think that we need it in order to stretch. Carol Burnett was asked after one of her shows from her weekly series that she had, that somebody said, oh, do you get nervous? And she said, every single show. She said, if you're green, you're growing. If you're red, you're rotten, you die, kind of thing. It's like, you've got to have that energy, because that's how we stretch. That's how we grow. And even though I take my delivery lightly, I take what I do quite seriously. Hours went into this presentation, hours. Mm-hmm.
Believe that. We do have a question from, I guess I can't see the name who it's from, but I'll just read it here. It says, what do you think is the most common problem solution that clubs need to overcome in achieving their own stability and effectiveness?
Ooh, okay. Thank you. I shall not repeat that. What I do believe is that we need to constantly be marketing, and the best form of marketing to not only retain and attract, but to keep growing as well, is a personal invitation. I remember the woman who invited me to Toastmasters, and her story, I wrote that story about her in the book. Her name is Mary Porter. She and I still stay in touch. And if she had not saw that I needed help, she didn't come up to me and say, you need help, or she didn't say, you really need Toastmasters. She started a conversation and she brought it out of me. What are my challenges? And I think that's what we need to do, is to have that conversation. For a member to continue, for a club to continue to thrive, I think that we need to have our membership surveys every 6 months. Ask your members, and it could even be that you're welcome to take this worksheet back to your club, distribute it to people and find out, why did they join? Are their needs being met? What are their goals, so that you can help them? And when you help other people reach their goals, the points will follow. So don't even worry about the points. Focus on the member and what is it that the member really wants and needs, and find a way to help them earn it, discover it, learn it, relearn it, be successful at it. This is a safe environment. Thank you. I hope I answered. That was a really loaded question. It was really good too.
No, that was a great answer, Sheryl. Your answer made me think of a member of my club that makes an intentional, what am I trying to say here? She's very intentional about reaching out to everybody that comes to our club and making them feel like they're very special. And it's that investment in that relationship, that one-on-one time, that I think really makes a huge difference. We do have another question here. This one I think I enjoy this question. Have you ever met Toastmasters that aren't nice?
Yes. Do you want names?
No, but would you like to elaborate a little bit?
I have met people that I have very different viewpoints from. Primarily, it comes down to the attitudinal disposition. So if in our organization, negativity does not serve us. It's not in the mission. It should not be in a club environment. And while I was district governor, we actually needed to expel 2 members from my district just because of the personal attacks and threats and everything else. And that's why Toastmasters created the policy that we need to vote new members in and that we have the power to vote members out, thanks to what I endured as a leader. So remember why you're doing this. It is for the greater good, and it's for your own self-development, your self-enrichment. Everything that we do is about transformation for ourselves and for others. And sometimes it's those tough cookies that need the most amount of love. It might be that they're not difficult people. They're going through a difficult time and we have no idea what it is. There's a story behind it. And if we can see under their anger, there's always a fear. And where there's fear, there needs to be love.
I love that, Sheryl. There's a lot of wisdom behind that. Thank you very much. Another question we have in concerning Rotary Toastmaster Alliance. And are you in favor of this alliance? And if so or not, why?
Over the past 35 years of my membership in Toastmasters, I've had the distinct pleasure to present at numerous Rotary clubs. I believe that in the very beginning that Dr. Smedley forming Toastmasters also looked at the parallels of Rotary International. I think they were developed about the same time-ish. I think that their 4-way test is absolutely superb. I do believe the charity and everything that goes into Rotary, Toastmasters is not a charity organization. I do see that we can definitely be partners because Rotary is about developing leaders, which is what Toastmasters does. This is where leaders are made. It makes sense as far as an alliance. When it comes down to the actual meetings, it would be good for us to extend ourselves to the districts of Rotary and get onto, they have a speakers bureau, by the way. So I know I'm still listed in one of the speaker bureaus, that one of the district governors needs to see you present at one of the Rotary clubs in order to endorse you. And then you are invited to become part of the speakers bureau. I see that. Well, and what I know, because I was in the district leadership when Dan Rex, our CEO, was hired, and I was in his very first trio as he was going through his first years at Toastmasters. Everything that Dan Rex has led us to do has been with great wisdom behind it. We have never in our history endorsed any other organization. So there is sound foundation behind this alliance and this partnership. So fellow members, I suggest that you check in, look up Rotary, look up the Rotary meetings near you. They need 20-minute speakers every single week. There are clubs all over, and because of our Zoom ability, then you can be speaking all over the world to Rotary and bring your subject matter expertise. And by the way, those outside speeches can go toward your accredited speaker designation, because of the 25 engagements, then 7 may be compensated, but you can also do some free presentations, and they have to be 20 minutes minimum. So that could help you towards your accredited speaker designation as well. It's a win-win.
I love that answer. You had mentioned Laura earlier. Laura actually hosted a panel for the Toastmaster Rotary Alliance on Wednesday night and had members. We had our Harold on there, international director, and we also had Kay Biga, who's going to be a district governor coming up. So it was a fantastic discussion. If you guys, anybody out there watching, are interested in the Alliance, I would really encourage you to come back and watch that discussion if you didn't get a chance to watch it live on Wednesday. Another question for you, Sheryl. If you had a chance to share a meal with a famous person you haven't met yet, who would you choose?
I haven't met yet. Oh boy. I keep going back to Leonard Nimoy. Sorry, I just do. I grew up on Star Trek, and then to be able to serve as his concierge for 4 days, driving him around, and does it count that I gave him a protein bar in the limo when I picked him up at the airport? Does that count as a meal?
For me, it would.
I thank you. So here's what I can tell you, that whomever it might be that I have not yet dined with, and I've dined with Deepak Chopra and trained his trainers, his lecturers, that what I would hope is that they are humble, very present, share their wisdom, and that I do the same. I hope that it is heart to heart, ego and arrogance put aside. So whomever that it is, that's what I would hope for, and that I would be the same.
Very good. We do have one final question here for you, Sheryl, and it looks like we do have a little bit of time left. You had mentioned about goals fairly early on in your presentation and the importance of goal setting. We have a question from Kim Brookmeyer. She's asking, what are your personal goals from here?
Oh, thank you. Regarding Toastmasters or goals in general?
It wasn't specific.
Okay. In Toastmasters, my primary purpose in the longevity of my membership is to support more members toward becoming professional speakers and earning their accredited speaker designation if that's what they would like. That's my Toastmasters goal. That's my give back. And since I earned mine in 1993, I have been probably the loudest voice regarding the program and helping to educate other people and cheering them on to earn the accredited speaker designation. Outside of the organization, it's interesting because a year and a half ago, I moved from San Diego to New York, and I could move my business anywhere, being virtual and now being able to fly again. And I thought, wow, I want to get off the grid. I want to live in the country. I want to experience living in seasons. Okay, you all can laugh because where you live, you do have the seasons. I'd never experienced them before, but my mom was, from Iowa and dad from Missouri, and I wanted to experience that. What was that life? And so here I am in a very small town in the country, in the southern tier of central New York. I went from California to New York, and I decided to move after visiting, only walking through this particular house. I flew out just to walk through this house, knew that it was mine, called my realtor, sold my house in 19 days. I was moved here in 2 months. So when it comes to setting goals, here's my tip. Be very clear what it is that you want, because you might not make a decision until you have that clarity. When I was packing my house up, I found a sketch that I drew in 1986. The date was on it in my art class. And it was a house on a lake with someone fishing in a boat on the lake. That's exactly the view out my deck. So what we set our goals to be, and especially when we set the intention behind really earning it, then we can accomplish anything that we want to do. What I did not set my goal in, again, remember I said, how many of us join Toastmasters to become a leader? Not. Here I went, area governor of the year, division governor there, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I didn't join Toastmasters to become a leader, though. I joined to be a more effective business owner and became a professional speaker. In my little community, I have now joined our charity organization, which is similar to Rotary. It's regarding hearing loss, so is its charity. And the Chamber of Commerce, which then brought me into a 4 towns forward movement of 4 of the small towns in 3 counties. And that's why I met with Majority Leader Chuck Schumer today. I was invited as that. So the goals for me personally is how can I give back to this community and to boost prosperity through my expertise of speaking and marketing. The closest Toastmaster club to me physically is a 40-minute drive. So it's get out of the country and get onto the freeway and drive. My intention is to use all the hidden treasures of communication and leadership where I am today. And that'll be my final message to you, is that bring the heart of Toastmasters out into the real world with you and share those treasures with other people who need to shine in their life. Where how can they be more prosperous? How could they have more confidence to help serve and support other people?
Thank you very much, Sheryl, for your presentation tonight and for sticking around to answer all these wonderful questions.
They've been great questions. Thank you.
It's been an absolute delight having you and getting to know you a little bit leading up to tonight. So again, thank you so much. I know you've given me a lot to think about, especially about goals and my own future within Toastmasters and what exactly it is that I want to do. And I probably will be reaching out to you now that I know what one of those goals of yours is. So again, everyone, thank you for showing up tonight for our keynote address. What a wonderful message from Sheryl. If you have a chance to send her a note or reach out to her, please do so. You can also check out her website out there on SherylRoush.com. It's got a lot of really wonderful information and a lot of information that was posted in the chat tonight. Please follow up on some of that. That does conclude our keynote this evening. Thank you everyone for attending. Don't forget to join us again at 7:00 p.m. when Division A Director and Conference Co-Chair Lang Latigo is going to reveal this year's Communication and Leadership Award recipient. And then again in the morning for our International Speech Contest, which is going to begin at 9:00 a.m. And stick around tonight. The hospitality room will be opening back up this evening at 9 p.m. Join Laura Lobo and other Toastmasters and guests from across our district for a fun-packed Night Owls talent show. To participate, you can go and register on our conference website under Meetups in the Communities section. Thank you again, everyone, and have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.